It's always worth waiting for Chad Wolf. First of all, Mr. Former Secretary, let's look at what Vice President Harris was saying there in that interview with Lester Holt. First of all, saying we've been to the border when she clearly has not been to the border, then giggling about it, saying, well, I haven't been to Europe either. And meanwhile, the crisis on the border continues. And you hear AMLO, the Mexican president, saying, a lot of mixed messaging coming out of Washington is what's driving all this. Your response?
Well, first, I would say what's going on at the border is certainly not funny. And so when the vice president makes or laughs about it and then sort of equates it to Europe, there's not a crisis going on in Europe at the time. There's a crisis on our southwest border. It requires leadership, and it requires either the president or the vice president making a trip down there to understand what is going on. And it's been over 75 days since she has been put in charge of this crisis. And the fact that she won't go to the border is very telling. She went to the border as a senator. I believe she also went to the border as a candidate for president. But when she has responsibility and she has some ability to make change, she won't visit the border. And I think that's troubling not only to DHS law enforcement, who is looking for some leadership, but I think that's troubling for the American people that their vice president simply refuses to go to the border because of the policies that they have put in place to have caused such a crisis down there that I'm guessing that she doesn't want to be photographed with what's going on at the border today.
Mr. Secretary, this is Sandra. Our own Peter Ducey's in the White House briefing room. Jen Psaki's conducting that briefing right now. He was able to ask her for some sort of clarification on how Kamala answered that question. Here was Psaki's response moments ago.
Her main focus is to try to address the root causes of migration. Did somebody decide here that it would not be helpful for her to go to the border and talk to people who just migrated here?
Well, again, I think that at some point she may go to the border. We'll see. But she's in the Northern Triangle now to have discussions with leaders, with community leaders, with civil society leaders, with the embassy about how we can work together. And obviously she's made a couple of announcements already, probably more to come before she comes back to the United States.
And she described, though, you said she might go to the border. She described a trip to the border yesterday as a grand gesture. Why?
Look, Peter, again, I think her focus of this trip is on meeting with leaders, having a discussion about how to address corruption, how to address the root causes, how to work together to address humanitarian challenges in these countries. That's exactly what she's doing on the ground, and I'm sure she'll report back to the president when she returns.
So, Chad, Nikki Haley joined us top of the last hour and said you can't fix what you can't see. She clearly sees the need to go to the border. 76 days in, is it political to continue to hear mostly Republicans hammering on her for not going directly to the problem at the border? Or do you believe it is necessary for her to make a trip there to lead us through this?
Well, it's absolutely necessary. I would say, again, she's looking at root causes of migration, which is not going to be solved in the short term. That's years and even decades away, and previous administrations have been trying to deal with that as well. But in the meantime, there is a crisis on our border that's affecting American communities, affecting law enforcement, and affecting the migrants themselves that are putting themselves in a very dangerous journey up here. That's what her focus should be on, as well as the root causes. You can do both. It's not one or the other, it's both. And she should be doing both, so absolutely should be visiting that border. They should be talking about border security. They should be talking about interior enforcement of our immigration laws, and not simply holding photo ops with foreign leaders. The crisis is here at home. That's where she should be.
The main numbers for border encounters are going to come out on Thursday. I'm told by sources inside CBP that they'll likely be around where they were in April, which was about 180,000. Because it's starting to get into the really hot season, those numbers are expected to go down just a little bit because it is just too hot to try to make that journey. So the Biden administration will have a short window of opportunity to try to do something before it kicks back up again in the fall. What do they need to do?
Well, I think they need to look at a variety of different things. I think first and foremost, you have to make sure that those crossing the border illegally, that there is a consequence to that behavior. They need to understand that they can't remain here in the United States. That's what it's going to take at the end of the day. If they are removed back to their home countries, back to Mexico, in a very short period of time, that's going to send a signal to their friends, to their families, and to others that want to make the journey that the border is not open and that you will be removed back to your home countries. That's the first thing they can do. And then they can start addressing opening up asylum systems in the Northern Triangle if that's what they want to do. But you have to secure that border. And there's a number of different programs and there's a number of different policies that you can take to do that. But as long as minors can come into the country, family units can come into the country, and even single adults can come here and stay here during their asylum proceedings, this surge is going to continue even during hot months, unfortunately. What we're seeing is a record number of deaths along that border and in desert areas because of the number of crossings that we see today.
And resources running dry in many of those communities. As of June 3rd, the number's right in front of me, 17,200 unaccompanied minors in custody, more than 871,000 enforcement encounters at the southwest border in the fiscal year 2021. That's according to CBP.